I stood there frozen, watching my sister slip our grandmother's wedding ring onto her finger as if it had always belonged to her. She smirked, tilting her hand to admire how it gleamed in the light, her voice dripping with arrogance as she said, "I deserve it more than you." Something inside me cracked. This wasn't just a ring. It was Grandma's ring, the one she wore every single day of her life, the one Grandpa had saved for months to buy when they were young and broke, the one that symbolized a love that had endured through decades. And most importantly, the one she had promised would be mine. But now it was on my sister's hand, and she knew exactly what she was doing. Grandma had been the heart of our family. She was the kind of woman who never needed to raise her voice. One look from her was enough to command a room. She had survived the Great Depression as a child, raised 3 children with nothing but sheer determination, and built a home filled with warmth and love. Even after Grandpa passed away, she never took off that ring. It was a part of her, a symbol of the life she had built. A few years before she died, she pulled me aside and, with quiet certainty, placed the ring in my hands. "When I'm gone," she said, "I want you to have this." I hadn't expected it. I had never asked for it. But she squeezed my hands and looked me in the eyes. "You understand what this means," she said. "You appreciate what it stands for." I had promised her I would treasure it. And then, weeks after she passed, my sister, let's call her Jessica, got to Grandma's things first. I didn't even know she had taken the ring until I saw it on her hand. I tried to keep my voice steady. That was supposed to be mine. Jessica just laughed. A cruel, mocking laugh, like it was the funniest thing she had ever heard. "Oh, please," she said, rolling her eyes. "You just hide it away. I'll actually wear it." She twisted her hand back and forth, admiring the ring like it was some cheap piece of costume jewelry. My stomach twisted. "That's not the point," I said through clenched teeth. "Grandma wanted me to have it." Jessica just shrugged. "Well, she's not here anymore, is she?" I wanted to scream. But fighting with Jessica never got anywhere. She had always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one Mom and Dad spoiled rotten, the one who always got whatever she wanted, no matter who she had to step over. If I went to them now, I knew exactly what they'd say. Just let it go. So I did the only thing I could. I walked away. For weeks, I tried to convince myself it didn't matter, that it was just a ring, that it wouldn't bring Grandma back. But then the jeweler called. I had almost forgotten that before Jessica stole the ring, I had taken it to a jeweler for cleaning. He was an old family friend, someone who had worked on Grandma's jewelry for years. He had my number on file. His voice was cautious. "Are you sitting down?" A strange prickle ran down my spine. "Yeah. Why?" There was a pause, and then he said, "Actually, there's something you should know." When he told me, I nearly dropped my phone. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. Jessica had stolen the ring, thinking she had won. Thinking she had taken something priceless from me. But she had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I went straight to my parents' house, where Jessica had been staying since the funeral. She had been soaking up the attention, making sure everyone knew how devastated she was, despite the fact that she hadn't visited Grandma once in her final year. I found her lounging in the living room, scrolling through her phone, Grandma's ring still on her finger. I sat across from her. "We need to talk." She barely glanced up. "If this is about the ring, just drop it." I smiled. A slow, knowing smile that made her frown. "Oh, I'm not asking for it anymore," I said. "I just thought you'd like to know what I found out." That got her attention. She sat up straighter. "What do you mean?" I leaned forward, lowering my voice just enough to make her nervous. "The ring is fake." Her eyes widened. "What?" "The jeweler called me," I said, watching her carefully. "The diamond isn't real. The gold is plated, not solid." I let the words sink in. "It's a replica." Jessica stared at me, shaking her head. "That's not possible. Grandma wore this ring for decades." I shrugged. "I guess she switched it at some point." Her face went pale. She looked down at her hand, twisting the ring, as if willing it to change. No, you're lying. I have proof." I pulled out my phone. "We can go to the jeweler right now if you want." She was still shaking her head, but I could see it, the way her confidence was crumbling. This thing she had stolen and rubbed in my face was worthless. And then realization hit her. If this was a fake, then where was the real one? She bolted upright. "Where's the real one, then?" I laughed, soft and knowing. "Wouldn't you like to know?" Jessica went mad. She tore through Grandma's belongings like a wild animal, ripping through drawers, boxes, anywhere the real ring might be. Mom and Dad rushed in, demanding to know what was going on. "She's lying," Jessica shrieked. "She's trying to trick me. Grandma's ring was real." I crossed my arms. "Then why did the jeweler say it wasn't?" Dad looked at me, confused. "What are you talking about?" Wordlessly, I pulled up the jeweler's email and handed him my phone. His face tightened as he read it. "This says the diamond is fake." Jessica snatched the phone, her hands trembling. She read the words so fast she nearly dropped it. Mom looked between us. "I don't understand. If that's fake, then where's the real one?" I leaned against the wall, watching Jessica's panic spiral into despair. "I think Grandma hid it." Jessica's breath hitched, because she knew what that meant. If Grandma had hidden it, then it was never meant for her. A week later, I found the real ring. It was tucked away in the most Grandma place possible, inside an old sewing box she never let anyone touch. The real diamond sparkled under the light, solid and unshakable. And next to it, folded neatly, was a handwritten note. "For the one who truly understands what this means. You know who you are." Jessica lost it when she found out. She screamed, cried, begged our parents to make me share it. But for once, they didn't take her side. Grandma had made her choice. And Jessica? She was left with nothing. Jessica sulked for days, throwing tantrums and insisting that the fake ring had to be a mistake. She accused everyone of switching it, convinced herself there had been some kind of mix-up, but deep down she knew. She had lost. Or so I thought. One night, I woke to the sound of shattering glass. My breath caught in my throat. I sat up, heart pounding, ears straining to hear beyond the silence that followed. Then movement. A shadow shifting in the darkness of my living room. Someone was inside my house. A chill ran through me as I grabbed my phone and reached for the baseball bat I kept under my bed. Every step was careful, quiet, my pulse hammering in my ears. As I peered around the corner, my stomach twisted. Jessica. She was crouched near my desk, rifling through the drawers, her hands moving with frantic urgency. I didn't need to ask what she was looking for. Rage boiled in my chest. "Are you insane?" She spun around so fast she nearly fell over, her face wild with desperation. In one hand, she clutched a flashlight, its beam darting across the room. "Where is it?" she hissed. I tightened my grip on the bat. "You broke into my house. Are you out of your mind?" She didn't even acknowledge the question. She turned back to the desk, yanking open drawers, tossing things aside with growing desperation. "You don't deserve it," she spat. "That ring should be mine. Grandma loved me more than you." I had seen Jessica be selfish before. Entitled. Manipulative. But this was something else. This was obsession. I pulled out my phone. "I'm calling the police." That got her attention. She lunged, trying to grab my phone, but I shoved her back. She stumbled, knocking over a lamp, and suddenly the whole room was bathed in harsh, unforgiving light. That was when I saw her hands. She was wearing gloves. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. She planned this. She hadn't come here in a moment of weakness, overcome with grief. She had come prepared, gloves to avoid fingerprints, a flashlight to search without turning on the lights, her movements too precise, too practiced. She had known exactly what she was doing. Jessica froze, her eyes locking onto mine as she realized what I was thinking. Then, like a cornered animal, she bolted. I chased after her, but by the time I reached the front door, she was already peeling out of the driveway, tires screeching against the pavement. My breath came in hard, ragged gasps. My hands shook with adrenaline. Then, my eyes caught something on the floor. A key. My stomach twisted as I picked it up. My spare house key. The one I kept hidden outside. She had known where to find it. The next morning, I went straight to the police. I filed a report, laid out everything. Her theft, her break-in, the texts she had sent me before, gloating about taking the ring. The officers took it seriously, but the real turning point came when they checked my neighbor's security camera footage. There she was, clear as day. Jessica sneaking into my house. That was all they needed. A warrant was issued for her arrest. When the cops showed up at our parents' house, Jessica had the audacity to act shocked. She gasped, put on her best performance, even squeezed out a few tears, pretending she had no idea why they were there. But the moment they mentioned the security footage, she collapsed. Right there in front of Mom and Dad, like her entire world had just shattered. Because in her mind, she was untouchable. She had always gotten away with everything. Not this time. Jessica was charged with breaking and entering, along with attempted theft. She lawyered up fast, but the evidence was stacked against her. Mom and Dad begged me to drop the charges. They tried to guilt-trip me, pleading, "She's your sister. Do you really want her to have a record?" I looked them dead in the eye and said, "Did she think about family when she stole from me? When she broke into my house?" They had nothing to say after that. Jessica took a plea deal. Probation, community service, a permanent record. But the real punishment? She lost everything. The golden child image shattered. Mom and Dad stopped bailing her out. Stopped making excuses. For the first time in her life, Jessica had to face consequences. And me? I kept the real ring. Safe. Secure. Right where it was meant to be. Because in the end, Grandma knew exactly who deserved it. Even after everything, Jessica still played the victim. She whined to anyone who would listen. My own sibling had me arrested over a stupid ring. She spun the story, twisting the truth, pretending she had borrowed it, that it was just a misunderstanding. But people weren't buying it anymore. Mom and Dad stopped defending her. Family members distanced themselves. Even her friends started seeing through her act. And I wasn't done yet. A year later, Jessica got engaged to a man named Ryan. I barely knew him, but from what I heard, he was wealthy, well-connected, and came from an old-money family. Jessica bragged about the wedding nonstop, luxury venue, designer dress, a ring that would make people jealous. But there was one problem. Ryan's family was traditional. They valued honesty, loyalty, and family reputation above all else. Jessica played the part of the perfect fiancée, sweet, kind, trustworthy. I almost laughed. She had no idea what was coming. About 2 months before the wedding, I ran into Ryan's sister at a cafe. She recognized me from family photos and came over to say hello. We made small talk, and then she mentioned, "Jessica doesn't talk much about her family. She said you two had a little falling out." I smiled. "Oh, did she tell you what it was about?" She shook her head. "Just some dumb misunderstanding, I think." I pulled out my phone and showed her the police report. Her eyes widened. She read every word. The breaking and entering charge, the attempted theft, the security footage. She covered her mouth. Oh my God, I didn't have to say anything else. By that afternoon, the news had spread like wildfire through Ryan's family. By the next day, Jessica's perfect life began to crumble. Ryan's parents were furious. They called an emergency family meeting. Jessica sat there, eyes darting around in panic as Ryan's mother asked, "Is this true? Did you steal from your own family?" Jessica stammered, tried to lie, but the evidence was right there. Her mugshot, her court records, everything. She broke down, sobbing, begging Ryan to understand. But Ryan? He stood up, took off the engagement ring, and placed it on the table. "I can't marry a liar." And just like that, the wedding was off. Jessica lost everything, Ryan, his family's wealth, her future as a trophy wife. The deposits for her luxury wedding? Non-refundable. She had spent nearly all her savings on planning a wedding that would never happen. And the worst part? Everyone knew. Her friends. Our family. Ryan's entire social circle. She was publicly humiliated. That night, Jessica called me hysterical. "You ruined my life," she screamed. "You did this to me." I let her cry. Let her scream. And then when she finally stopped, I simply said, "Grandma always said karma takes care of people like you." Looks like she was right. Then I hung up. That was the last time I ever spoke to her. Jessica never recovered. She moved away, broke, disgraced, alone. No one trusted her anymore. No more rich fiancé. No more golden child treatment. She spent her whole life thinking she could take whatever she wanted. But in the end, she was left with nothing. And me? I still have the ring. Safe. Secure. Right where it belongs. Just like Grandma wanted.